Hey, Harry, look at this. What's the matter with these cans? Die, milk face! These cans are defective. They're springing leaks. Come over here, look at this.
Listen, you better run for cover. You're going to spring a leak.
Huh?
We don't have defective cans. We have a defective person out there.
He hates these cans. Stay away from the cans. Die, gas pumper. Those cans. There's cans in there, too. Run.
You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
Man, oh man, I got into high school and I got into drama and plays. And the thing with drama and plays was that there's a lot of memorization. And they'd hand you this script that would generally be 70, 80 pages. And if you got a big part, you had to memorize a lot of that. A lot of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm a guy who learns scripts through doing it again and again and again and finding the beats and finding the movement and the moments. And a lot of directors won't let you do that. A lot of directors will hand you a script and go, on first day of rehearsal, you have to show up knowing all these lines. And you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And you end up like covering the page and fooling yourself and trying to test yourself and da-da-da-da-da, whatever. I remember doing the importance of being earnest in college and showing up, and I hadn't even read the play the first day of rehearsal, and the director was like, hope everyone's off book, and I was like, I don't even know what the play's about. I remember seeing it one time, but it didn't register. So one thing that I discovered very early on was improv comedy, because you don't have to memorize anything. You just have to be able to think quick on your feet. And I learned about improv in elementary school because a group used to tour around my area, and they would come to our school and show us, what at the college level they were doing. And so I got into high school and I mimicked that, and we did a little touring group of our own. And when I got to college level, I found all those guys, all those actual guys that were doing improv that gave me the idea and the passion and the spark to want to do it were still there. So I took an improv class, and the people who were doing the improvs were also doing a show. So I would go to class and then stay late, nothing better to do than hang around the theater and hang out with these guys and get to know them. And eventually I joined the improv team, the Generic Improvisational Peep Show, and these guys became like, no joke, like we were the closest group of guys, and occasionally we'd have a girl or two in the show, but mostly guys, because a lot of women are funny, but it's hard to break that barrier of looking foolish. A lot of women don't like to look foolish, and that's no fault of their own. That's just genetics. And guys, we're used to looking like fools, so it's easy for us. It's not sexist at all. Some of the funniest people are women. Trust me, I love a lot of female comics. But at the college level, getting a girl to show up and be silly, those were the rare gems. And when we found them, we kept them, right? So one of the guys that was in the improv show and in that play that I watched called The Beauty Part is a guy named Jeff Wightman. And Jeff and I became really good friends just right off the bat. This was a really cool guy, really talented improv guy, a good actor to boot, which is a big plus in the improv world. And Jeff would actually end up becoming, no joke, the best man at my wedding. So we've been talking about doing this show for like 2 years. So please welcome to the show the very talented, very funny guy, Jeff Wightman.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're here.
Yes, I am.
You're actually here.
Yes, I am.
I tried to get a girl to do the show, an improv girl, but they're hard to find.
If you like.
That's right. That's why the kids in the hall have to put on dresses, right?
Exactly.
No. Because and no offense to women, like when I said that thing about when we found a funny lady, we would like lock her up, right? Because those are the good ones, and they're really hard to find. But when you do find one, you're like, we got it.
Yeah,
now
there was another one in your wedding, Maribeth Mudge.
Maribeth Mudge, one of the funniest ladies I've ever seen.
Made an honor in your wedding.
And we had a rotating group of girls. It was Jerry Anaya, Maribeth Mudge, and Mary Harris. Because she was married to the leader of the group.
Yeah, she came in the group as a student, and then they ended up coming.
They became a couple. See,
yes.
Look, we're 4 minutes in, and I've already learned something I didn't know.
Well, actually, me and Mary came in. Well, the group actually started a year before I came into Cerritos. The actual Generic Improvisational Peep Show was started by Joe Harris and Kevin Hager and a few other people, and Maribeth Mudge being one of the original. And then the second year, Kevin decided to make it a class, and then he was expand from there, and we would tour from the different schools.
Yeah, and that was the group that came to my elementary school and showed me like, oh my God, these guys are funny, and it's being made up on the spot, and I want to be a part of that.
And so Mary actually came in a group with me. We were the same.
I had no idea.
We were actually the second generation of the actual.
Who was the first group? It was Joe
Harris, Maribeth Mudge, Kevin Haggard, Ray. I think it was Ray Martinez. Keaton.
Pat
Keaton.
Pat Killian, yeah.
And
was Fernie in that first group?
No. Fernie came in the group with us.
Okay.
In the second year. Yeah.
And there was just this group of people who thought, we're funny, we have a good time, let's go out and share it with the world.
Exactly.
And you guys would go to, I say you guys, eventually I would join it,
yes.
Go to high schools, to the drama department, and just show like, hey, when you get to college, there's reading, writing, and arithmetic, but there's also this. And what a great way to blow off steam, to meet new people. And what we were talking about before the show began is improv gives you the greatest skills in real life.
Assume competence was our one and only.
Hager taught us that from day one.
Exactly.
If the audience says you're a baker,
you're
the best baker in the world, and whatever you say is totally right.
Exactly. You want this role?
Exactly, right? And like, I remember, it's really raining here in Buena Park.
Yeah.
If you hear a weird noise, it's the rain. But I remember sitting and listening, and Kevin Haggard was the greatest improv teacher.
Yes, he was.
He had a way of explaining it so that when you got up to do the show, you were ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
And his assume competence, it's weird to think of something that you carry with you from the moment he tells you that to today.
Yeah.
How many times in your real life do you go, well, this is not a problem for me because I'm going to assume competence, right?
Exactly.
You were saying you could go for any job and get it because of Kevin Haggard's teachings.
Exactly. Because if I don't know how to do that job, I'm going to tell you I can learn this job and I will be the best at this job and the greatest you'll ever have at this job.
And it sounds so easy, but it's not, because we're always so hesitant in real life and I don't want to step on toes and yada, yada, yada. And improv says, forget all that.
Exactly.
Show up as the loudest voice in the room. You know, we weren't allowed, remember this, we weren't allowed to be funny.
No.
You're not allowed to be funny. Play the scene for real.
Because if crowd thinks you're trying to be funny, then they look at it as
they turn on you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a smart aleck.
Yeah. You don't want to, you just want to go out there. And thousands of times you fall flat on your face.
Right. Oh yeah. More than not, you fall on your face.
Go with you'll have an idea, and you'll go with this idea, and it'll lead you right off a bridge.
Yes.
You know.
And in some of the early shows, now we'll get to the history of it, but some of the early shows, Kevin Haggard was the one that we saw go off the cliff.
Yeah.
And I think that endeared him to us because we thought, look, if our leader is willing to march off a cliff, we should be willing to march off a cliff too, because we'll learn from it.
I remember Kevin doing a show. We did a show, and it was and early in the show he sat on the stick.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say. Yes.
And he was stuck on that stick for the entire show, and he was the butt of every joke.
Yeah, because he said he could. He asked him what his talent was, and he said, "I can sit on a stick."
Yes.
And that just, I mean, you do that in front of high school kids,
Yes,
and you've lost them.
The rest of the show was all revolved around this man sitting on a stick.
Yes, yes.
And we wouldn't let him leave the stage. We made him stay there the whole time.
Oh my God!
And we had a whole show of Kevin Hager on a stick.
Yeah. So what happened was, so you're in the second group,
Second tier,
and I'm in the third or fourth iteration.
Fourth.
And I went to the college and took this class because in high school I was the best improv guy. I went to competitions.
You were very, very good.
I was confident.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And when I got to the college level, you know, every time you move a level up, you have to start over.
Yeah.
So I had to. I'm the lowest guy in the totem pole. I have to prove to everybody that I know what I'm doing. Okay. And I remember
your first show.
Yeah, you were there for my first show, right?
And I'll never forget this. I mean, I talk about this. We talked about this before. And I'm not shy about telling people this story. We were at junior high school in Downey, right down the street from Stonewood Shopping Mall, just actually north of Stonewood. I can't remember the name of the school, but it's just north of Stonewood Shopping Center. And we just there's this format called our formats were our different types of scenes and stuff that we do different things.
You have to give the audience what the setup is.
Yeah.
So that there's a little structure to it.
They pick everything. We have no idea what's going to go on. Like we had this one called Meet the World.
Meet the World.
And we had this. In fact, Kevin Hager Joe Harris was actually doing the interviewing.
He was one of the best at that.
Yes,
because he was okay being the straight man and letting you have all the comedy.
So basically, all you have is two chairs and the audience. And so Joe would ask. We have every type of person. We don't have actual people. We don't have Jack Nicholson here, but we have every type of person that you could ever want to possibly meet. And so that was one of our, especially for the guys, that was our go-to format. We all loved being in that one because there's only three. Usually we had three people. So.
Yeah, there was only three guests on the Meet the World show.
Exactly.
And it became a competition of who can get there first to claim the spot.
Exactly.
Because this is nothing that we're saying out of school here. Everybody in the improv group has an ego the size of Montana.
Well,
you can't get up and do improv without a big ego.
Mine's only big as Washington.
Okay. So when they go, it's going to be just you getting the laughs. We all want a part of that.
Exactly.
We all want to be the zinger at the end or whatever it is, right?
Definitely.
So everybody's waiting and jockeying for that position. Exactly. And this is my first show.
Exactly.
And I was 19 years old.
And then you got up for
there's a lot of them that have group things where there's a bunch of people ins and outs and stuff.
Yeah, Meet the World was our big. That was for the big boys. And
that
was the one. If you got up and Meet the World and you bombed,
you bombed big.
You bombed big.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times, and what Kevin would tell us is sometimes the audience would ask for something that even they didn't want.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're talking about high school, right?
Yeah.
And do you know the number? If you say, we have every kind of person in the back here, and we're going to bring them out, and who do you want to meet? Do you know what the number one was?
Probably a psycho.
Psycho or a pedophile.
Or a pedophile.
And you don't want either one of those.
Well, I like doing the psycho.
The psycho's okay, but the pedophile is like, that's really, really dark.
Yeah.
And the audience thinks, well, that's going to be a laugh right. And you're like,
or just like the room, if you ask for a place to be, is always the bathroom or the bedroom.
Right, yeah. So a good caller, and the person who's taking charge of the scene is called the caller, would ignore those ones because you get them all the time.
Or what you would do, way around that, is I need a specific type a specific type of person, like a pedophile.
Yeah, you get it out of the way.
Yeah, we say it so you can't use it again.
Right. And when you say place, it would always be a specific place like Disneyland.
Or
otherwise, because we're in Orange County, right?
Yeah.
So if you ask for a place to be, it's always Disneyland.
Yeah,
and do you know who are the two celebrities? Give me a male celebrity.
Jack Nicholson.
Or Michael Jackson. And a female celebrity was always Madonna. So you'd have to go, give me a female celebrity, someone like Madonna. That way you just please
get it out of the way.
Give us some variety here.
Exactly.
Because you can only do Like a Virgin so many times, right?
Yeah. But at that show, they had called Meet the World, and I remember we had a strong cast that day. We had these 4 really good.
Well, the Peep Show always had a strong cast, and that's why it's an intimidating group.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there with their motors running and their arms crossed, like I'm the funniest one here. No, I'm the funniest, and it's not a competition. No. The audience is who we're supposed to be there.
It's a competition between us, but in fun.
In fun. It's nothing serious.
Yeah, no.
Well, it eventually would get serious, and people would get really angry, get their feelings hurt, and I'm not going to play with you anymore, right? But so they're doing Meet the World, and it was
they asked for an astronaut.
Oh my God!
So we're all looking at each other like, okay, and we're looking at each other. All of a sudden, from the end of the line of our chairs behind, Jeff Tucker gets up and walks up there and sits down. And we're going, oh, no. Yeah, I know. The new guy. And the new guy's up there. We're all sitting thinking, okay, what's he going to do? And then all of a sudden you came down, you put your head down, you had your head down, your hand, looking down at the ground. And Joe's like saying, well, hello, how are you? And you just turn to him and go, I was on another planet! And Joe kind of sat back in his chair and going, and then you turned around and looked back at the ground and said, and now I just spent Slurpees at a 7-Eleven. Yeah. And the crowd just went crazy. Because it was weird. Rusty the astronaut. Rusty the astronaut, yeah. And we're sitting back there listening to this interview thinking, holy shit, we still have 2 more characters to go, and how are we going to follow this? Because it was, to my opinion, one of the funniest. Oh, that's things, very nice to hear. One of the funniest things, that in fact, I think I followed it with a psycho guy, right? Yeah. I came through the chair up the stage and said, okay, that's all I got. That's it, right? That's it. So after that, like the Generic Peep Show was like a tribe. Yeah. And you had to go through the trials and tribulations of the tribe to be welcomed into the tribe. Yes. And I remember those shows were great, but then there was remember they did a live show at the theater where people had to pay money to go see. We did the annual shows. The annual and for me, it came up really quick. Yeah. So I remember, I was an arrogant a-hole. There's no doubt. And Kevin said, we're going to have a couple of rehearsals for the improv show. And I remember going, who rehearses for an improv show? Ridiculous. You're either funny or you're not. So I remember going to the improv rehearsal show, and we were doing a bit called Silent Movie, where someone's on stage, and then you have a microphone, and you make sound effects of, like, washing the dishes or something. It's really funny. Yeah. But I don't remember what I did, but I remember Maribeth Mudge walking over and in front of me saying to Kevin, I will never work with that mother effer on stage ever, because he's a bully. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's arrogant. And you know what? She was completely right as far as that rehearsal went. And then thankfully, years later, Maribeth came to me and she said, I just want to tell you, I would never do an improv show without you. Yeah. And it's one of those things where everybody had to really, you have to know each other. You have to trust each other. You have to know everybody's strengths and weaknesses, right? Because they would do a lot of musical stuff, right? Yeah. And I'm sitting out. Oh, no, me too. I can't do music. I can't play instruments or sing. No way. They'd go, oh, it's time for the musical improv. And I go, well, that's somebody else because it ain't me. Yeah, I'm sitting down. And I'm looking down at the ground saying, okay, don't look at me. Same with, they did a bit called Foreign Dancer with Poet, where they would get a topic from the audience. Somebody would do this interpretive dance, and then somebody would translate it into a poem. And it was like, I hate that one. I'm not doing it. You can't make me do it. And then they would always like make you try to. Kevin would go, time for Foreign Poet. Jeff, you're our dancer. I go, come on, man. I danced a lot. You did. I danced at the show we had this last summer, and the alumni show. That's all they talked about. Yeah. We gotta get Whiteman to dance. Oh, jeez, man. So we would have these marathon rehearsals and get-togethers, and it was really, like I said, just like you're hanging out with your friends, you're doing comedy, and man, it was so much fun. It was the most fun I'd ever had. The rehearsals were great because it was just
everybody trying to one up in comedy,
Well,
and everybody wins that way.
And at the rehearsals, it was like we were given we had for suggestions. We were given suggestions that were that challenged us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that here you got 4 people. Okay, where you got in an elevator.
Yeah.
Make a scene in an elevator.
In a really tiny area.
Yeah. And so,
one of the toughest ones was a bit called "What Am I Selling," where somebody goes outside and locks you either lock them outside, and you ask the audience, this guy's going to come in and buy something from me, but he doesn't know what it is. So he has to figure it out through question and answers and clues. And I remember I walked in on one. I had come from Spencer Gifts working, and I had cleaned out the storage area. And there was a big item I had taken home. And I brought it in with me because I thought it was funny. And I'll never forget, I'm watching What Am I Selling? And the item that he's trying to buy, I have an oversized version of it. So when he literally, I don't remember what it was, but he couldn't get pencil. So I walked on and unfurled a 6-foot-long pencil, and it was the funniest moment ever because it was so surreal. Like, what are the odds of that? So much fun.
Yeah.
So we ended up, after doing that first show and everybody really clicking, the Peep Show was, first it was a college thing. The college would send us out.
Yeah.
We'd get a van or we'd carpool and we'd go to these schools and somebody would be in charge of the horn. Remember the horn? Honk, 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 honk. Every scene ended with a horn.
I've seen that. That's how we ended our scenes.
And this bicycle horn became like a symbol of the show.
Yeah.
You had to have the horn. And whoever held the horn
had the power.
Runs the show, right? And we would sometimes set the show, like, here's what we're going to do. And other times it would be, remember, Pass the Horn show.
Pass the horn.
What's a Pass the Horn show?
Well, you whoever has the horn picks the format that we're going to do.
Right.
And we had maybe over 100 formats.
Yeah,
so there were so many to choose from. And you could be in and outs where you had one person come in the scene, another person come in the scene, a third person comes in the scene, the first person has to leave the scene.
Yeah.
And it was like a revolving.
It's a revolving thing, and you have to keep track of who came in when, and they have to leave with a purpose.
Exactly.
You can't just walk off.
You can't just walk off.
I hear the phone ringing, that sort of thing.
It had to be a reason for you to leave and a reason for you coming on.
Yeah.
And that was a fun one.
You know which one I hated? Was one called First Line, Last Line.
Oh, I hated it.
So the audience would give you the first line of the improv and the last line of the improv. And the reason I hated it is because if you got the wrong group of people, they would milk it for like 10 minutes. Yeah. When these improv things are supposed to be like fast and furious. Yeah. Get up, get down, get up, get down. Funny, funny.
5 minutes is the longest.
Oh, 5 minutes is an eternity.
Exactly.
You got to get to it. My favorite one was Changes.
Changes was fun.
Changes is where you get a place to be. You line up 6 people. Everybody walks up and says one line from that place. Then they reset, and then you change it. You make it faster, make it slower, give it a foreign language, give it a celebrity. Your favorite was As Slow as Can Be.
Yes.
And
Kevin would say, okay, everyone, go for popcorn now. Or
and like we're talking about, Jeff would, like if the line was, there was one that it was on a farm. The place was farm.
Yeah.
And whatever your line was, like, I got to feed the chickens. But you're supposed to walk up and say the line. Well, you would rev up like Bugs Bunny and stroll. And it would take you like 3 minutes. Just you to get to the space.
Now,
and you would.
I can see why. The whole time I'm doing this, where's all the focus of the audience?
It's on you.
On me.
100%. And you would always pass gas and then wave.
Oh, you had it.
Oh, my God.
You couldn't leave that stench behind you.
It was so funny. So my favorite changes was when I went back for an alumni show. And I was like, because my thing was I have to challenge myself. There were people that always relied on tried and true bits.
Yeah.
Joe would always lay on the floor.
Yeah.
And be a beached whale. Please put me back in the water.
Yeah.
Yours was you were a janitor. I got to clean the floor.
Morning! How are you, sir?
Yes.
Excuse me there. Pardon me.
And so I was like, I need to really make sure what I'm doing is real, right?
Yeah.
So the place was a farm, and the line I had was, that's a lot of pigs. That's a lot of pigs. because there's nothing funny inherently about That's a Lot of Pigs. And when they give you the change, the what's going on top of it, who knows where it's going to go? Yeah. And somebody gave me That's a Lot of Pigs, Russian. So I walked up, lit a cigarette, and I went, "This is last time we come to Nude Beach." And I just, for me, it was the funniest thing ever, and nobody in the audience knew what I was doing, right? So Kevin would lead these groups. We'd go to all these. Remember, we went to a preschool. Do you remember the preschool show?
Oh, yeah.
And the kids were like 4.
Yeah.
And they didn't quite get it until we did Meet the World, but instead we did Meet the Animals.
Meet the Animal.
And so people would come up as like a zebra or a giraffe.
Lion.
And you know what? We're just make-believe. But to the kids, you could look out, and they believed you were a lion.
Exactly.
And, Joe would roar at the kids, and they'd all get scared. And talk about like a moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because we're used to like high school kids and being smart alecky and hip. Yeah. And here's these little kids, and we've given them something that they didn't expect.
Exactly.
These animals to them are totally real. That was I know that a lot of people didn't like that show.
No.
But I thought that was a really fun booking.
The fun shows. The fun shows. And what I enjoyed about the high school shows, especially when we did, because if we did for the whole auditoriums, that was a little more difficult. But when we did just for, say, the drama class.
Just the drama class, right.
It was fun because we would always get volunteers. We had certain formats.
And they'd be ready to go.
Yeah, we had certain formats that we did, like Emotional Rescue was one of my favorite. I always did it. We always did it. That's where you get a place to be and a relationship.
Yes.
And then you ask the audience for a bunch of emotions.
Yeah, so they
all these, and we write them all down.
Sad, happy, love, upset, lust, anger.
And then so what happens is you get a place for these two people to be and a relationship between these two people. It could be it's usually a guy and a girl. So say,
it's an apartment and they're
lovers.
A couple. Yeah,
they're married couple. And then we start a scene, and then during the scene, the leader would shout out an emotion,
right.
And you immediately had to switch that whole your emotion has switched that.
Yeah, it was a really fun thing to do.
And Joe would always, we get to the show and I say, hey, there's a cute blonde up there in the top row.
Yes.
I'll do emotional rescue with her.
Yeah.
So Joe would ask for a volunteer, and he'd look right at her and say, "You, come on up," and and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
But it was fun doing scenes.
Well, you had a go-to one in Emotional Rescue.
It was Melancholy.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. So Joe would call out Melancholy, and the person you were with would go, "Oh, I don't know what we're going to do," and then you would do something completely different.
I would look at their person and go, "Hello, hello, hello."
And if they didn't get it, you go, Melancholy? Oh my God.
The melons.
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Now, my wife has listened to that. That's just made believe. I never did that.
Never did it.
Never did it.
No, never did it.
We just made that
Joe Harris did that.
Yeah, that was all Joe.
Yeah, I remember going to, I think it was either Gar or Cerritos High.
Yeah.
And we would stick around for a little bit after the show, if any of the kids had questions.
Yeah.
And I remember this blonde high school girl hitting on me, like hardcore hitting on me. And I went over to Joe and I'm like, this high school girl's totally hitting on me. And he goes, "You gonna go to jail, Jeff? Let's get the hell out of here." And I said, "I think you're right, Joe. We better get out of here before I go to jail."
I had a girl, I believe it was at Cerritos High School, ask me to go to her prom with her.
Did she really?
I told her, basically just told her I'm flattered. Normally I would say yes, I'd love to go someplace with you, but I don't think it's very appropriate.
You know what was interesting about the improv group, and we'll move on to the professional version in a second, but the high school touring one that came out of the college was a class you could take.
Yes.
So we would have a rotating group. Now, there was the core group.
Yeah.
You, me, Joe, Mary, Mudge.
Yeah.
Sometimes that guy Nate. Remember Nate? Big guy? Russell.
Greg Marcos.
Funny guy.
Yes.
Greg Marcos. Mindy Redfoot. Russell Orso.
Yeah.
Russ was a funny guy.
Yes. Lives in Texas now.
Lives in Texas. And so, but we'd also get people who thought they would just get an easy A and it wouldn't be a problem. And there was a couple of them. Do you remember there was a couple that came in? The girl was really cute, but the guy didn't get improv. he was completely inappropriate all the time.
Oh,
so we would
yes.
bring him up for different bits and just screw with him mercilessly
Yeah.
and make him look really bad on stage. And he had to quit.
Yeah.
He couldn't take
And
it.
his girlfriend stuck around.
His girlfriend stuck around. Yes. Oh my God. I actually was going through some old pictures, and we did a show at my alma mater, Norwalk High, and she's in a couple of those pictures.
Oh, okay.
And going back to that pompous a-hole Jeff, which again I totally copped to. I'm wearing a see-through shirt. What the hell is wrong with me? Didn't anybody go,
hey,
Jeff?
I used to wear coveralls.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yes.
And
a painter's hat.
I always had my hat on.
Yeah.
I couldn't improv out without my hat.
Oh my God.
Funny story here. We did a show one time at the I'm not sure what it's called. It's right there on Imperial and right across from the hospital.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was a hospital.
Los Netos or something like that. Los Netos, and we were doing a show for these people who had head trauma.
Yeah, we were in the head trauma ward,
and I'm wearing a black T-shirt with a happy face with a bullet hole.
And you knew where we were going. You said, "Hey, I'm going to wear this shirt, man. It's totally appropriate."
Yeah. So then the nurses came out and go, "Hey, would you mind turning your shirt inside out?" I go, "Why?" I go, "Well, these people here, a couple people actually were shot in the head. They think it might be inappropriate for you to wear that." I'm going, "But it's my improv shirt." So I guess after being nudged a little bit by Joe, I ended up turning the shirt inside out and wore it just inside out, which I wasn't very happy
I can remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
And I was getting dirty looks from those nurses the whole
Oh yeah,
show.
they just didn't. They didn't get you at all, man. So what happened was, in addition to still doing the Friday touring thing, Joe decided to launch the Peep Show as an outside gig.
Yeah.
You know, with the hope that we would get paid.
Yeah.
To do shows.
Yeah.
And so a core group of us left the college. We did both at the same time. We weren't going to not do improv. But it was the idea of Joe was the leader, and we decided to become a legitimate comedy force, right? So
touring team.
So we did all these gigs everywhere, and a few of them we were supposed to get paid for.
Well, I'm sure we got paid.
I never saw a nickel.
I never saw a dime. I saw a nickel maybe once.
I never saw a nickel. And not that I was in it for the money. No. I was in it for the laughs.
Exactly.
And we got a lot of laughs. But we ended up at were you at the Long Beach downtown gig we did?
The one that was outside the park?
We did one at the park that was totally Joe booked us at a park where
carnival.
We're trying to do improv while kids were riding bikes through the scenes.
People walking by shouting locations and just keep walking.
And just kept walking, right? Yeah, that was like I remember turning to Joe and going, this is not appropriate. No. We can't be outside. No. So Joe got us a gig downtown Long Beach. These guys were trying to build a club of some sort.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, I do remember that.
So we showed up on a Saturday night. I got off work at Spencer
Wasn't the best area either.
Wasn't the best area. It was something called Tiptoes. No, Toe Jam.
Something like that.
Toe Jam.
It was right there. It was right there in not a very good part of Long Beach.
So we're all hanging out and we're putting the show together. And there was that moment of like, this is a big deal. I think we've made it. These guys have opened a club. It's going to be full of patrons who want to see us perform comedy. And I remember one of the owners came to us and said, well, we've set up the all-you-can-eat buffet. And it was Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I thought was odd. You know, they bought a few buckets of chicken. And then they said, so it's $15 at the door to get in. And we're like, wow. Because we had people coming, a few people.
Yeah, we had our
And I was like, that's a little pricey. You know, because a movie ticket at that time is like $6, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we're like, well, who's going to come to the show? What have you been doing to promote the show? And the guy goes, no, this is all on you. You're supposed to bring people in. And I remember telling Joe, we're not going to fill this place.
Oh, no.
We have no way to even.
We had people came with us, but maybe there's 4 people outside.
Right. Russ had his girlfriend. Laura and Steve came with me.
Yeah.
And
Nancy was right outside with me.
Yeah, Nancy's, and that's it.
That's it, yeah.
So we did the first week there for 6 people who enjoyed a lot of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then I remember the next weekend, like, Joe, we're doing this again? We're going to endure this again? And there was nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody showed up. And it was so weird. And even, I remember I had Lauren, Steve with me, and maybe even a couple other people that I had dragged along. And I remember Joe getting really irritated with me. I'm supposed to have an entourage before you do. And I remember going, Joe, what are you talking about? We're trying to fill this club. And I remember doing Meet the World that night, and the audience is just crickets. There's like 3 people, 6 people, I don't know. He got Fireman. Do you remember this?
No.
So I picked up the chair and I ran through the club screaming, fire, fire, fire. Anything to get the energy up, right? And it didn't work. No. That didn't work out. The toe jam experiment didn't work out.
I remember those shows, though. And then we did the ones that were fun were like we had the women's groups and stuff.
We did a big, some California women's group, big dinner, right?
Yeah.
But do you remember the big deal with that?
I broke the horn.
You broke the horn
at the very beginning of the show.
But there was something that Joe told us before the show started. You don't remember this? He told us Al Gore was going to be there.
Oh, that's right.
He said the vice president's going to be there. This is the moment. We're going to make history. And I remember telling my cousin, who was an actor, and I said, do you have any advice? And he said, yeah, if Al Gore's in the audience, the vice president, you should walk center stage, drop your pants, and take a crap right on the stage. I said, what? He goes, you'll make news around the world. I said, Don, I'm not, it's Don Paul, my cousin. I said, I don't think I'm up for that. But when we got to the show, there was no vice president there. Yeah. And I don't know what Joe had thought that was supposed to mean to us. We were just there to do a show. It didn't matter who was in the audience.
His thing was he was trying to impress us.
He didn't need to.
I'm doing this. I'm going to have us doing this. We're going to do this at this. You know, just like when we did when we moved on to the Comedy Store and we were performing at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room. You know, he was like, well, who can we invite? Who can't we invite?
Well, Joe had this weird thing, right? So, like Jeff said, we went to the Comedy Store every Saturday night in the Belly Room, Skippy Lowe's Cabaret, and Skippy had a crush on Russ, which got us on.
Exactly.
And it's a big deal because stand-up comics get 4 minutes to get up, be funny, and get off. We were given 20, which is unheard of. Yeah. But we got 20 because of Russ.
Yeah.
And I've got a bunch of those shows on tape, too.
Yeah.
But Joe decided that he wanted to weed people out.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, he weeded me out for a while.
He weeded you out. He weeded Mindy out. He weeded Jerry out. He eventually weeded Russ out.
Yeah.
And you know how he did it? And now I'm not talking out of school because this is what happened.
Exactly.
He would call them up and go, hey, I need to talk to you about something, but I'm going to call you back. And he would hang up. And he did that so he could let the people on the other end stew for a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, Joe, you're kicking people out of a group that's free to join anyways. Yeah. It's like, I don't understand.
Well, with Joe, his issue with me, more than anything.
Who could have an issue with you?
I don't know.
You're the nicest guy in the world, Jeff.
Well, that's the thing.
You bend over backwards for people.
Well,
you've done more nice things for me than anybody on the planet.
Well, God, I like you. But with Joe, he wanted to make this into a career. His goal was we
wanted to too.
In his eyes, he wanted to become the next,
whose line is it anyway?
Exactly, Jim Carrey or whatever it was. And me, I did it because I just loved it. I enjoyed making people laugh. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody. I enjoyed but I had a job. I worked for the city.
I agree with you, but in a completely different way. You already had a really good job.
Yeah.
You worked for the city. You made good money.
Yeah.
this was your blow-off steam stuff, right? And for me,
I did give 100%.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
So it wasn't like I was, sending it, milking it.
Nobody was phoning it in. No. The thing with me was totally different because we would go to the Comedy Store, and then afterwards, I would have people come up to me and going, "What are you doing in this group?
Yeah.
Why aren't you up there just doing stand-up? You're a funny guy."
Yeah.
And I'd go, "Well, I like these people.
Yeah.
I'm having a really good time." The thought of going up and like a solo career didn't even occur to me. Yeah. Didn't even occur to me.
No. I remember after a show, what's his name? Pauly Shore came up to me.
Yeah.
and said, where you been? How come you're barely showing? Where were you at the last few weeks? He goes, you're improv guy, and he literally saw me one day. My family was visiting from back east, and we were walking down Rodale Drive. They just wanted to walk around, and he keeps walking out of a store. I mean, just by coincidence, and he looks at me and goes, "Improv dude," that was his nickname for me. I mean, and he thought,
That's amazing.
We thought we were the funniest people.
Well, improv at the Comedy Store was striking because it was so
new.
different.
Yeah, it was new.
Because the comedians, and we knew this because we went 12 weeks in a row, would do the same exact act every time.
And it was always different.
Ours was always different, right? But there was a girl that would get up and she'd go, I was in the greeting card section the other day, and they have cards. They have real cards that says, thank you for not drinking, or enjoy the 12 steps to sobriety. And it got to a point, it's really raining now.
Yeah.
It got to a point where we could do their acts.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you remember
they had an MC guy who reminded me a lot of Craig Kilborn.
Uh-huh.
And he would go, so I'm driving cross country, and I pull over to the side of the road, and I'm sleeping in my car because I don't want to have a wreck. And about 3 in the morning, there's a knock on the window. And I roll the window down, and it's a guy, and he goes, "Hey, Mister, my wife's over here giving birth. Can you help?" And then he tells this really long-winded story of helping this guy give birth to his wife's. To the first kid, right? The baby. And then he goes, and that's when I realized I sleep in the nude. Like, that's the whole joke, right? And he'd go, and now please welcome so-and-so, right? And I just remember going, we can do their act verbatim, but we go up there without a net.
Yeah.
We go up there, and everything we do is the first time anybody's seeing it.
Exactly.
And not that we're better. No. Not that we're better. It's just different.
Exactly.
Especially at the Comedy Store where these comics are honing their act, because they're trying to get on the Tonight Show. Yeah. And remember there was a secret room in the back with couches where you could hang out? We got in there one time, and we were in there about 10, 15 minutes waiting to go on, and this comic comes in and he goes, "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. This is for comics only. You're out." I remember Joe got really mad, and I was like, "Joe, let's just go. Let's just do our show and let's get out of here." Yeah. But Pauly Shore watched us.
Yeah. Drew Carey.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Because remember it was hey, there's a celebrity in the back watching the show. And we're like, who? The white guy from Living Color.
Yeah.
Who is he? I don't know. And when you're like, that's Jim Carrey. Oh my God, Jim Carrey's watching us. This is one of the best stand-ups ever. Yeah. Especially in that time period.
Yeah, and that's when I think that the MC for the main stage was Drew Carey.
Yeah.
And Pauly was always just hanging around.
Pauly Shore, right?
That was his mom. His mom owned it.
Mitzi Shore, right? And I remember one night going downstairs and seeing Dice.
Yeah. Andrew
Dice Clay, and like, oh my God, that's Andrew Dice. He's just sitting there at the Comedy Store. And of all of the comics that were up each night, we saw a bunch.
Yeah.
There was only one that really went on to become famous, and we watched him from his first days. It was Eddie Griffin.
Yeah.
Really funny guy. They had another improv group show up one night, and they were terrible.
Yes.
And I remember
they were scripted almost.
They were scripted, yeah. They were real smarmy and smug.
Yeah.
And I remember Eddie Griffin got up to clean up after them, and they came up on stage to get a prop or something they left. And Eddie Griffin goes, "Now listen, y'all done effed up your spot. Don't F up mine. Get the hell out of here." And I was like so with him because when improv is great, it is great. Yeah. And when it's bad, you want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Bad improv I can't really sit through improv right now because I'm like Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations trying to get out of my chair,
What bothered me when we went and seen I think it was a professional improv group perform at Second City, and they would take suggestions from the audience, and we were there. Kevin Hager was there, Joe Harris was there, and I think it was for Joe Harris's bachelor party.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so we're sitting in the back, and we gave some suggestions, and they took our suggestions, and then all of a sudden they leave the stage.
They leave it, yeah. They
And
for
we're
like
going,
for like 40 minutes,
where are they
right?
going? They went back in the room, took those suggestions that they liked, and then came out and did a scene.
I hate that.
I mean,
there's nothing
no.
immediate about
No.
that.
When we did our shows, you gave a suggestion. We stood right there in front of you, and we didn't move, and we started seeing with your suggestion.
And when it works, it's magic.
Exactly.
It's magic because the audience feels like I helped do that,
Exactly.
and the performer's going, I can't do it without you.
Yes. And
so
one
it's
thing that we did,
a relationship.
One thing that was really fun was when we did the thing where we pass out papers before the show.
Pick a line.
Yeah, write down a line. Anything. Write down something on a piece of paper. Anything you want to write on a piece of paper. And they would fold up and put it in this little bucket, and throughout the show, if we're in the middle, we could be in the middle of a scene. All of a sudden, hold on. And I'd walk over there. I'd grab a line out of this bucket.
You go. I have something very important I need to tell you.
I would read this line exactly the way it was written.
Yeah.
And we had to justify why I was saying that.
Right.
And the audience would just love it.
They would love it
because they know that person, and especially that person in the audience. That's my line. I wrote that. And
I wrote that, and they made something out of it.
Exactly.
And that's what improv is really firing on all those cylinders. You know, I ended up the Generic Improvisational Peep Show morphed into Dilemma.
Yeah.
Do you remember Dilemma?
Yeah.
Dilemma was the last iteration of it.
Exactly.
And the straw that broke the camel's back was we got paid for a gig, and it was a significant amount of money, and we never saw a dime of it. Yeah. And when we asked about it, first we were shamed for asking, and then we were told, well, there was this, and this, and that's why there's no money. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I get it. People got issues, but I remember turning to Maribeth and going, this is not cool anymore. I'm not hip to this anymore. And so it just sort of, like all great things in life, it just sort of disintegrated and fell apart.
Yeah. What happened was, and again, because people were getting greedy. I mean, if they would have told me, hey, we made $100, your share is $20. I need to borrow this. I
spent it on parking.
You
got it.
I would say, you know what? You're fine. Don't
Absolutely.
I didn't do it for the money.
Right. But it was never presented like that.
No, but if everyone was getting paid, I wanted my share.
Well, of course. You did just as much work as anybody else.
I didn't care, though, if we got paid or not. That was the thing. That's one thing that bothered Joe as well. I mean,
I remember you guys would get into words because you would say that exact thing. I don't care if we get paid. And Joe would go, we've got to get paid. Yeah. You're like, well, then we're in it for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. If you don't do it because for the love of it, then why
what are you doing it? Yeah. Right. No, it has and the audience will know.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it out of love, and the example I'll give is I watched a guy, he put an act together called One Man Star Wars, where he would do all of Star Wars by himself. And it was really funny and really great. And he traveled the world with it. But you know what? He didn't like Star Wars. And when you watched it, you could tell, oh, this guy's just doing it because it's a paycheck. Yeah. And that's, if you can get work like that, God bless you. Yeah. But why not put some of yourself into it and really invest in it?
Exactly.
And that's what improv became, was like, I want to do this. So actually, when Dilemma disintegrated, I ended up going to the Groundling School.
Yes.
And learning.
And I saw you perform there.
Yeah, I learned a whole new way to do improv. And I had good teachers, Jim Jackman, Karen Maranura, and really good teachers, Steve Cahalia. But Kevin Hager was really the guy who taught me how to do improv. Taught me to go up there, steal yourself, and just do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've been able to use that in a lot of things that I do, because I do a lot of events where I'm in front of 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And there's a moment backstage where I go, I don't have a script. I don't really know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to
assume confidence.
And when you do that, everything just falls into place, because guess what? I'm always right.
And here's another full circle. Your famous trapped mazes.
Yeah.
The third and final year we did it. You said, I have a perfect part for you, Joe.
Yeah, I know. So we should preface this by saying, I work at Knott's Berry Farm, which morphs into Knott's Scary Farm.
Yes.
And you got a job there as a security guard one year.
Yes.
And you came to me and you said, this is great and all, but I really want to be a performer.
Yeah.
So I remember, like, I put that in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many chances you get to create something at Scary Farm. It's not every year.
No.
So one year I was very blessed, and I got to put together this thing called Trapped Year One.
Yes.
And one of the parts was a janitor, an angry janitor. And I was like, oh my God, I know the guy. There's only one guy that can do this.
That character was written for me.
It was written for you, no doubt.
A pissed off janitor working in the dirtiest bathroom on the whole earth.
Yes.
And people coming in there getting in his way.
And you're angry at everybody.
And to get the fuck out of here.
And it was like kismet, because like you'd been doing that character forever. And the thing with Scary Farm is you go through these mazes and you're part of it, and they want you to join the monster brigade, whatever it is. Trapped was different.
No.
You were encroaching.
Exactly.
You're trespassing.
Get the hell out of here.
And you were angry. So year 2 comes along, and I backed off from year 2.
Yeah.
But the part was pretty similar.
Yeah.
And then year 3, we threw the book out.
Exactly.
And I said, we're going to start over.
Exactly.
We're going to give people the greatest Halloween experience of their lives. And we're going to really mess with people.
And
so
the thing that you said to me that really stuck with me was, we're not trying to scare people.
Right.
We're not going to scare nobody. We want to make people feel really uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable and stress.
Yes.
Stress. We want to break them.
And I left everything into you. I said, Jeff, you know me. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And you had a couple ideas for me, but the one idea.
So I came to you and I said, I've got this part for you. And
I said, whatever you.
And what was it?
I was a grown man wearing a dress in a little girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
With dead pictures of little girls all over the wall. Basically, I was a pedophile.
Yeah, of sorts. It wasn't really clear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We left that again. We left it up to the audience.
Exactly.
Let them feel, because if I telegraph it to you, it's not scary.
Yeah, no.
If it's ambiguous, and this was the room that caused controversy.
Yeah.
Because up until the 11th hour, it was getting pulled.
Yeah.
Because the powers that be said, we don't understand what's happening in this room.
Yeah.
Because we gave you say dress, but people think Tootsie.
Yeah,
it ain't Tootsie.
It was
Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple.
And a little hat. A little frilly hat. And makeup. And I remember you came to me and you were like, I'm having a little trouble with this, man.
Yeah. And then it said, it falls all back on assumed competence.
Assume competence. And when the people come in, let them lead. Yeah. What are they afraid of? And then once you figure that out, zero in on that.
And by the second week, I was walking through an Scary Farm in that dress. I didn't care anymore.
Well, you and there were 3 or 4 other guys that had to do it too.
Yeah.
And God bless you. I would always go, you're doing something that I don't think I could do, and I'm so in awe of that. And you were like, I don't want anybody to see me. Can they do the makeup at the maze so I don't have to walk?
Pictures taken.
No pictures, right? And then suddenly, when the word kept coming down the pike, because I would talk to people as they left the maze, what part scared you the most? Everybody said the little girl's room, because I didn't understand it. It was really scary. The guy in there was out of control, and so.
Well, I remember the heads of knots coming through.
Mm-hmm. The rehearsal night.
Exactly, and you told me, because we got, we're signed. They're still.
This is it.
Yeah.
They're on the fence.
Yeah, so I went. I gave them the show of a lifetime, and they walked out of that room.
And it was tough too, because it's not like a regular Halloween maze where they come in, you do something, and then they leave. You were actually directing them to a closet or to under the bed where a secret hatch would open. Yeah. So you had your work cut out for you. Everybody in that maze.
I had to separate them. And it's hard to separate a group, especially if you have a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, incredibly difficult.
Having to separate them. I had one girl crying in the corner because I had separated her and her boyfriend. I had locked her boyfriend in the closet and wanted him out. So, but that was where the improv training came in. A lot of these shows that
and that's where I knew you were going to excel at it.
Yeah.
I was like, look, There's we had other guys that were great. Yeah. I'm not, Patrick and Gary, not saying anything. No. Everybody had their own take on it, right? In the little girl's bedroom, you guys prove that you don't have to telegraph what's going on. You don't have to be a monster.
No.
Because the character you played was a regular guy who had some issues.
Yeah.
Right?
Major issues. And
there was a lot going on in that room, and it was really gratifying to step back and watch you excel at that,
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, Trapped went away, and
I went away.
You went away.
They offered me positions as going into Counter Evil, and even Ghost Town offered me. They wanted me, and I said, you know what, if I can't be free to do what I want to do to make someone's evening or that moment with that person, that interaction with that person, if I can't make it the best, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to half-ass it.
Right. It's just so weird though, because you're a normal guy. You have a normal gig. You play sports, and no one would know that in the archives of Not Scary Farm, you're one of the greatest monsters we've ever had.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment, because we've had some good people come through.
Yeah.
But you've made people cry.
I've made a girl pee her pants.
Pee her pants. I mean, that's an accomplishment in the Halloween industry, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and it all comes back to with your writing and stuff, and you putting these.
It's just putting the scenario together and letting you guys, trusting that someone like you knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
not having that umbrella over you saying, "Oh, you can't do this."
Screw that. Yeah, no.
I mean,
you need freedom.
Yeah,
you need freedom.
Even when the big shots came in, I didn't hold no punches.
Oh yeah, no.
I think the guy from the main guy from back east came in.
Yeah.
And I think the 1 year I grabbed him and put his face in the toilet and told him, pull it out of there.
But that's what they're paying for,
Yeah.
In a metaphor way, technically speaking, they want us. What are you giving our guests?
Exactly.
Because Trapped, remember, was an upcharge in addition to your ticket price.
Pay extra money.
So you got to give people their quote unquote money's worth.
And
Improv Training. Boom, that's how you do it.
Exactly. And then like I said, the first year, I mean, people were loving it. The second year was but that last year we went out the bang.
We they didn't come back partially because where do you go from there? What do you do? Do we kill somebody? So the other thing people might not know about you is you are a security guard. That sounds silly. You run a security detail for celebrity book signings.
Exactly.
So you have met some of the most amazing people that have ever walked the earth.
Including presidents or ex-presidents.
And, like who?
Well, Jimmy Carter.
Well,
would have been Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. You've met Mel Brooks.
Jim Carrey.
And not just this way, sir, but a conversation.
Exactly. I mean, I'm their right-hand guy once they get to the store to when they leave the store.
That's amazing. And you have a moment.
Exactly.
And you're in a lot of TMZ videos.
Yes, I am.
Whenever somebody gets in trouble, they go to that book signing footage, and you see Zsa Zsa Gabor or whoever it is, and just to the left, there you are. Yeah. It reminds me of the scene in Dave with Kevin Kline, where they're going through his scrapbook, and Ving Rhames is there, and he goes, "No, here, you're right here. This is your shoulder." You're like, you're in all these pictures. But you were telling me, to wrap the show up, you were telling me you just had a moment with Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
Right before she passed.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
She had a book event. On the night before she was flying to London. And she's one of the sweetest, loveliest people I ever had the pleasure of working for. I actually worked for her mother as well.
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds a few years back, but this was like her last. I mean, who knew?
Nobody knew.
You
invited me to come.
Yes.
And I was like, we'll get her the next time. And what do I say on this show? You have every opportunity until you don't.
Exactly.
And then when you don't, you really don't.
Yeah. And, that was one of the nicest, I took a real nice photo with her. She signed a book, personalized a book. She wrote a book, she gave me a book, signed it to me, to Mean Jeff.
She called you Mean Jeff because
I protected her from herself.
When the fans come up and want stuff,
I'm the one who says no.
she has to have a buffer that says,
Exactly.
look, go away, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because she's just signing her book, and these guys all roll in with like
Star Wars,
everything.
Everything. And I'm the one, I told her ahead of time, listen, I said, you can sit there and be a sweetheart. I'm the bad guy. That's my job. And
Yeah.
I'm the guy that says no. I mean, and if they want to keep pushing it, I'll take the picture and tear it up and throw it aside. I have no problem with that.
We told you no.
I said no. You see the guidelines. These are the guidelines. These are the rules. You break the rules, you can leave the store. And then as we left, she gives me a big hug and tells me thank you. And then she was literally going back to her hotel room to sleep. And then the very next morning, she was flying to London, where she ended up having the heart attack.
So she's going to London to do her last pickups for episode 8.
Yes.
And then on the way back,
she has the heart attack.
That's where she had the heart attack.
So this was like her last appearance in the United States. And she gave me a hug and told me thank you, and she, how much she appreciated me, and then she gave me a $60 tip. I told her I can't accept no money, and her
she insisted.
Her assistant insisted I take this money, and so
that's class.
Yeah,
she's a classy lady.
I mean, it was a wonderful experience. I was honored to be able to work for her at least once.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool. Now you have this book too.
I have a book
signed to you,
and photos of me and her together.
But you have a book signed with like a little story.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so great.
Yeah,
it's not just thanks for coming, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah,
it's
to Jeff, thank you.
It's got a story attached to it, and that's what makes life interesting.
Yeah.
Is there's something extra behind all this.
Why she write this?
That's what's really cool.
Yeah.
So of all the celebrities you've met, and if I have you on Facebook, it's like one every other day.
Yeah.
So many that some of the people I'm like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Because I can't keep up.
I don't half the time I don't know who they are.
Who's the one that made you nervous? If any.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Oh, I can totally see that.
Or even maybe Dick Van Dyke. I was really nervous about meeting Dick Van Dyke.
Mel Brooks and Dick Van Dyke are legends.
Yeah.
Comedy legends.
But one of my favorites, another one of my favorites who's no longer with us was Joan Rivers.
Oh yeah,
Joan Rivers was a darling.
I would love to have met Joan Rivers.
She made me wear her fashion police badge on my.
Did you really?
And I wore it for the whole event. And then when she came back for her last appearance here, which was also about a month and a half before she died, she asked me if I had my badge. She actually remembered.
Oh, that's great.
Asked me, "Where's your badge?" I said, my daughter has it. My daughter confiscated that from me, and she started laughing. She says, "Okay." And that night she was flying. She was actually flying to. She was going over somewhere in Europe, and she wanted me to go with her. She was, come with me. Be my guard over there. And I said, well, I gotta call my wife and ask my wife if she'll get me to fly off with Joan Rivers, But I mean, she was another one that was a sweetheart. I mean, you see these people on TV all the time, and you think, oh, I mean, trust me, I've had some people who are total douchebags.
Sure.
And I would say their names, but I want to,
Yeah, it's better to talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, but I mean. People like Joan Rivers, Carol Burnett. I mean,
another classy lady.
I mean, these are people that are like they're on a pedestal already, but yet they don't act like that.
That's great.
They're
that's what you want to know and hear about your heroes.
Exactly, and she was they were all that. I mean, and she was right there. Carrie Fisher was one of them that was a sweetheart. I mean, she cared about all her fans. She cared about. If they weren't happy with the way the autograph was, she would re-sign it. I mean, she was really, really, really nice. And I mean, we have some coming up. There will be some nice ones coming up, that I'm looking forward to. But
and you and I share our biggest regret of the number one guy we'd like to have met.
Exactly.
And that's who?
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. I've gone on record as saying I don't get starstruck.
No.
I've had a few moments, like when I met Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Because he means so much to me.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
But Gene Wilder, I might have had a because
he had a book signing at that same store
just prior
for me starting the job.
I heard about that. My brother was like, "Hey, you missed him." I'm like, "Oh, don't tell me, Jim."
Yeah.
Because for my generation, he's Willy Wonka. Yeah. He's Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah. He's the
Saddles.
Plays the Cisco Kid, right? Oh my God, so many.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother,
yeah.
Woman in Red. Just not only a comic force, but a writer, a producer, a director, and a guy who said, the movies you're making today are filth, and I don't want to be part of that, so I'm just going to retire.
Exactly.
And that's a guy.
Exactly.
That's a gentleman.
Yeah.
And his work speaks for itself.
And he stuck by his guns.
He stuck by it. There was a rumor that Steven Spielberg wanted to get him out of retirement for Ready Player One to play the avatar of the creator of the Oasis.
Yeah.
And I know there was some talk. If he had managed that, that would have been an incredible get.
Yeah.
He didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We have these amazing films. The producers, oh my God. Movies you can go back, and they're timeless, and they're funny. Gene Wilder's.
Every generation loves them.
I wish I could have met him.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, that was one I would have loved to have done.
Anybody else?
Steve Martin would be nice.
Yeah, I'd like to be Steve Martin.
Yeah.
He doesn't sign autographs, though, does he?
No, he would probably be one of those ones after I might regret. You know.
If he turned out not to be so nice.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have this, you know.
He's on a pedestal.
Exactly.
I mean, he's Steve Martin.
The jerk.
The jerk.
You know, he was born a poor black child.
Don't touch that radio. I've got the beat. I'm picking out a thermos.
There's cans. There's more cans in here. He don't like cans.
Stay away from the cans. And Jackie May said, "What are you doing? What's going on?"
I found out what my happy spot was.
Yeah, my special purpose. And I'm going to be doing this a lot. They don't make movies like that anymore.
No, they couldn't.
They don't make them like that anymore.
They couldn't.
I loved, Now, there's some people at Knott's who have actually, because Steve Martin's been to Knott's.
Yeah.
He pulls up to the gate, they know him, and they wave him in, and he gets to just hang out in the birdcage. And I know Dean Carter, met him.
Yeah.
And he was real mellow that day.
Yeah.
And Dean didn't want to intrude, but I don't know what it would be like to just, bump into him somewhere.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh my God, it's Steve Martin. Because I'm old.
Yeah.
I remember his stand-up.
No, yeah.
He was the biggest stand-up in the world.
Exactly.
Before he hit the movies.
These wild and crazy guys.
Oh my God, he would go, I don't know about you, but I get a pair of cat handcuffs, run away. Because my cat is embezzling from me. And he's spinning it all on balls of string. Oh, sure, it's a lot of fun to play with, but you only need so many balls of string. I mean, he goes, I'm going to France. So I was looking up, and they call cheese fromage. And he stops and he goes, these French people? They got a different word for everything. Oh, funny guy, man. Yes. Fun. And he's written some books.
Yeah, I have one of
So
those
it's
books,
not out of the realm of possibility that a new book could pop up.
Nice.
And there he is.
Yeah, we'll be seeing.
Mel Brooks, George Lucas. I'd love to meet George Lucas or Spielberg.
Yeah.
People that aren't.
Robert Zemeckis.
You mentioned he was there supporting his wife. It wasn't even a Zemeckis signing.
But I did give him a sign. Back to the Future.
Of course, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything you need to plug, Jeff? Anything you're doing?
No, I'm doing everything all right now. Everything's good. Everything's good in the hood.
You were the guy that helped me meet Springsteen.
Exactly.
That was a crazy night.
If anyone wants to buy a book, I have one for sale for $3.
He has a signed Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run.
Exactly.
Springsteen was a class act.
Yeah.
Because all the books were pre-signed because he didn't want to look down and write. He wanted to shake your hand, say nice to meet you, and take a picture with you.
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, that's a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Signed, this is a limited of 2,000 total.
2,000.
Yeah, one signing in L.A., one signing in New York.
And that was it. That was a crazy night.
Yeah.
Crazy night on the street. Good times.
Yeah, it was.
Well, hey, Jeff, thanks for being on the show, man. We've wanted to do this for so long. And you know what? I think I could hit stop, take a break, start again, and we could have a whole new range of stories about improv.
Well, we've known each other for over 20 years, 25 years, I think.
All the hijinks, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my. I remember, people play a drinking game on the show because I say I'm going to end the show and then I don't end it. When I got married, you were my best man at my wedding.
Yes.
And I remember you called me up and said, are you having a bachelor party? What are we doing? Going to a strip club? And I was like, I don't do any of that, man. I don't. And I didn't do anything. And you were going to take me out for the greatest night of my life.
Yeah. Well,
I was going to rain check on that.
Anytime.
Are you allowed to do it after?
Yes.
Is there a time limit on it?
No.
I'm trying to think of some of the other crazy stuff, man. Because,
well, we used to have those jungle juice parties in the back of your mom's house up there on
Yeah, the Beach Boulevard. Yeah, I remember one of the big improv shows. We had a big party, and I had just started dating Rachel.
Yeah.
And Rachel got really drunk,
Yeah.
and she was crawling on the floor somewhere. And Kevin Hager, you can't do this kind of crap in a room full of comedians. Kevin Hager, without missing a beat, looked at me and he goes, "Did she learn that in the Army?" So, hey, let's give a shout out to Kevin Hager.
One more thing, too. Yeah, Kevin Hager, great man. But you took me to you invited me to my first Comic-Con.
That's right.
And
WonderCon,
and I went there and I saw these girls walk around in all these outfits, and I'm saying, why haven't you invited me here before?
It's a secret, man. Cosplay girls. But that was right at the cusp, because cosplay girls didn't become a thing until at that moment.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they went from a couple of girls dressed as Princess Leia to 500 girls and 400 costumes, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right.
That. I haven't been invited back since, so I guess there's something wrong.
Anytime you want to go. Hey, everybody. I want to thank Jeff Wightman for coming on the show.
Thank you.
One of my oldest and dearest friends. I would do anything in the world for this guy. We have been through hell and back together. Peep Show, Dilemma, everything.
Weddings,
Scary Farm, you name it. And someday we'll get Mudge on the show. I keep trying to work Mudge. I've dropped the ball. It's totally my fault on getting Mudge on the show. But her stories would be just as good because Mudge has a mouth on her. Like most female comedians, a mouth on her, and that's why we love her.
Exactly.
So let's tune out the show. Thanks for listening. I'm Jeff Tucker. This is my guest,
Jeff Wightman.
Jeff Wightman,
Thank
the
you.
amazing Jeff Wightman. Do the janitor again.
Well, time for me to get out of here now.
Pardon
me now. Can you move your feet, please? Damn it. Son of a bitch.
I love it.
Jackass!
That's right. All right. So thanks for tuning in. We'll have another episode soon. The show is called, you know the name of the show?
91 Reasons.
That's
with
it.
Jeff Tucker.
91 Reasons. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?
Hey there, Timmy.
It's Bobby.
I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Were you ever a child?
No.
Well, then do we have the podcast for you.
Wow, gee willikers.
Here at Turning Back the Pages podcast, we strive for excellence in children and young adult literature. We read and give in-depth reviews and overviews so that you know what's going on in the book and you know what we think.
Bark, bark, bark. Shh, calm down, Brian.
Who names their dog Brian?
I do.
That's just lame.
Oh, sorry, Brian.
Turning Back the Pages podcast has been rated by top scientists.
Yes, I am top scientist, and I agree with this statement wholeheartedly. Now, where's my check?
So, Timmy,
It's Bob.
I don't care. You should check us out.
Oh boy, where can we find you?
You can find us at the Ace Podcast Network, along with several other really fabulous podcasts.
Like what?
Go and have a look for yourself. And remember, Timmy, keep turning those pages.
I'm trying, but the pages are hurting my hands.